Hello guys, and welcome to Cooking with Austin. Today we'll be making a fantastic food, pasta, and it's only a few simple ingredients. So what you're going to need is some of this extra virgin olive oil, some table salt, a couple of eggs, and some all-purpose flour. Now what you're going to do is take your all-purpose flour and start ladling out on top of your work surface. You're going to need a lot of flour, more than you would expect. If you have too much flour in the end, it's okay. You can always add another egg, maybe a little more oil, maybe some water if you so choose. But really the whole point is to just get as much flour as you can get. Now your next step is going to be making a well inside of your flour. This is where you're going to put your eggs in, so you want to make sure you have a nice big well area with some high walls, because your eggs are probably bigger than you think they are, and you don't want spillage when you're doing this. You're going to go ahead and take your eggs, grab the trash can, and you're going to go ahead and give them some wax so you can crack them into your well. Alternatively, you can crack them into a bowl or a cup to make sure that you don't get any of your eggshells in there. I was feeling pretty risky and just went for it, which was probably not a good idea. And now that you've got your eggs cracked in and your shells thrown away, you're going to look for that fork you meant to bring out earlier so you can stir them up. Go ahead and give your yolks some pokes just so that you can make sure they're all emulsified eventually. And you're just going to slightly stir in the eggs into the flour, gradually getting a little bit more flour every single time you whisk it around, in order to slowly incorporate the two items together. That way you're not going too fast and it's not going to get lumpy super fast, and you can kind of just tell and look by how your dough is forming. See, I am also sprinkling some flour on the side because I'm apparently not doing a very good job of whisking the sides of the well. So I'm really just trying to get a little bit of flour in every single time. And you can see that the dough is getting slightly stickier and stickier as I keep doing this. And it was around this time I realized I forgot to add in my salts and my olive oil. You don't need a whole lot of salt, it's kind of just there for a little bit of flavor. And for the olive oil, you really need maybe a teaspoon. It's just to give your dough a little bit of flavor and make it more easily mixable later on. So you're just going to whisk and whisk and whisk until it's pretty hard to whisk more with just your fork. And then you're going to start using your hands. So you can see my dough is getting really thick and my fork is working. Oh, splat. But now that I've incorporated all this flour into the eggs, it's time to move into kneading it with your hands. So just really get the flour in there, get it going. And you're looking for a nice shaggy dough texture before you start kneading it. So I'm just folding it in and bringing in as much flour as I can before I start the kneading process. So here, it's about the right consistency. So I'm folding it over and rotating it as I go along. Fold and rotate, fold and rotate. So yeah, your dough should kind of look like this at this stage. And you just need to knead it and knead it and knead it. Ultimately, you're probably going to do it for about 10 minutes at least. You really want to make sure everything is nice and incorporated in your dough. And once your dough looks like this, you're going to do what's called the poke test. Nope, not like that. Too deep. You're just going to poke it slightly and see the dough kind of spring back and take its own shape. That's how you know when you're done. Next thing you need to do is cover it with plastic wrap, because in this phase, oxygen and air is what's going to ruin your dough. So you want to make sure it's really nice and tight. And once you've got it all sealed up, you're going to let it rest for about half an hour before we roll out and make our pasta. And now that we've let it sit for 30 minutes, it looks exactly the same, but a lot has happened inside the dough, in terms of gluten forming. So we're going to go ahead and dust our work surface with some flour to get ready for the rolling out process. And make sure to liberally dust your work surface because dough is really sticky when you're trying to roll it out. Now the next thing you want to do is go ahead and grab a knife. But you're going to ask your parents first if you can use a knife because you need permission for them. Go ahead and cut your dough into quarter-sized pieces to make it easier to work with. Now once you've got your quarter-sized pieces, you're going to go ahead and place them back in the plastic wrap. Because remember, air is the enemy in this kind of formation. If you leave it out, it's going to get crusty and dry, and your pasta is not going to taste good. And now that that's completed, we're going to go back and get some more flour. You can never use too much flour when you're rolling it out. I'm going to go ahead and dust your rolling pin as well. And voila! I still have sticky dough because I did not use enough flour. So I'm going to keep trying to roll it out, see if it works. Nope, still too sticky. I should probably be putting on, oh, let's try the other side. Nope, still too sticky. So remember, you really want to have a nice layer of flour. You don't want it coated, but you want a really good dusting on it, just to make sure that this does not happen. But that's cooking, and everyone makes mistakes, and you gotta learn somehow. So I'm gonna keep on trying to roll this bad boy out, and he's just slipping and sliding now, which was kind of frustrating, in all honesty. And at this point, you're gonna want to fold your pasta into thirds and rotate it 90 degrees. And now you're gonna roll that out nice and long to try and get that pasta shape we're looking for. You're gonna go ahead and do that one more time. You want to do this a total of 3 times to get that nice shape and that nice lamination. And now that we've got him nice and rolled out, we're going to go ahead and cut him in half to make it easier to work with when we're cutting. We're actually going to even make the pasta thinner, because you want it really thin, because this guy is just going to absorb so much water when you cook it that you don't want too thick of noodles and have it be too doughy. Now, as you can see, it's still pretty sticky, so I'm going to add a little bit more flour to it to make sure my life is a lot easier when rolling this guy out. Now that I have the desired length and shape of the pasta that I want, I'm going to go ahead and lift them up one more time. And this is how thin you want it. See how you can almost see my hand through the pasta? It's about the thickness you want. At this point in time, if you want to make it perfectly square, go ahead. But if you don't care like me, go ahead and fold/roll up your pasta so that it makes it easier to make the strands more uniform when you cut it. And you're just going to go ahead and make some nice little cuts all around. You go ahead and cut it the length that you want for your pasta. Once you've got them all nice and cut up, go ahead and unroll it. You're going to unroll each individual strand and lay them down on top of each other like I'm about to do. And once you're done all rolling it up, you're going to do one final thing, and yep, more flour. This is the last time you'll be flouring it. And then you're just going to toss it. Even though you just laid them all out nice and pretty, you want to make sure each strand is coated with enough flour to make sure that your pasta is not sticking to each other. Because you want them to be individual, you want to be able to pick them up 1 or 2 at a time and have them not be sticky. And that's how you make pasta. Enjoy!